Well, we'll go out here, see what Baden got up to yesterday. Nice little rig finished up and ready to go. Well, here we are, early morning at Berrima Diesel. I come out and do all my emails and bits and pieces. Got a lovely troopy here, and Baden finished up yesterday the turbo system. So it's got, of course, the usual 1HZ, and it's just had the turbo system that we do put on there. You can see some stainless steel braided lines and a crossover pipe. It's pretty simple how everything works when you've got a diesel. You've got 6 injectors and an injector pump to get fuel there. So all this petrol mindset of bigger injectors and bigger pump really is a load of baloney, unless you're talking probably 400% power gains out of an engine, which you won't be getting that out of this. All those sorts of mods are just money making mods. You just don't need it, and when you do it, you'll end up with too much fuel, and then you'll end up with a damaged 1HZ all over, and that's why they do play up, and that's why turbocharging can be bad for 1HZs, because it just doesn't get done correctly. So let's go back to what's happening here. This one, it's got a snorkel, obviously, the old school one. By the way, we noticed it had a nice big crack, so that's not doing too much. It's just the age of the beast, I guess, at the end of the day, and they weren't really put on there for water crossings per se, more just to have the pre-cleaner on top, the air cleaner air. But air comes down, it's certainly getting sucked, definitely not getting driven down into here, even with the ram top. That's an old fable as well. The ram top just would have to be massive to be able to give you any sort of pressurised air. So the engine sucks. Now you've got a turbo, your air cleaner's here. Air gets sucked by the turbo, goes down through the compressor side, out through the top again, and back into the engine. Of course, gets supplied to the engine. So when that valve opens up at a couple of thousand RPM, it's got air pressure down the manifold sitting right in there at the valve. Now there's other inefficiencies down there, but the turbo goes a darn long way to getting rid of those inefficiencies, and that's why they work so well on a diesel. If they're set correctly and the fuel loadings are done properly, not over the top, not over fueled, not lots and lots and lots of power. I mean, you're going to be getting about 35-40% or so increase in torque. That's huge for those days, for sure. That's massive, and you're going to notice that on the road, probably a gear to a gear and a half better. That's what all the customers have been telling us for decades that we've been doing this. But again, too much fuel goes even more, goes like a rocket, and rockets soon go kabang. So you just got to get these things set up correctly. So when that's all done, just back to normal. Forget that you came in here. I always get asked, what extra do I need to do now once I've got a turbocharger on? It's nothing. Look after the vehicle, service it, change the oil, make sure the oil's changed regularly, and that's really the key. There's no warm up and cool downs, nothing you have to change in what you're doing. Particularly these systems are a water cooled turbo as well. It's just drive it, forget that it was put on there, drive it like a new vehicle. There'll be no sort of turbo lag or anything you've got to worry about. It's just like a bigger motor. It just goes better. And if you look after it and love it and change that oil, that's the key part, she'll last. Because let's remember, an oil filter really, for us, isn't doing much at all. Maybe it's catching the rocks and rabbits because the oil comes out black still. It's the oil, I say, that's the filter. It's like our own human bodies. When our blood plays up, we get sick. So if we get the dirty oil and it gets too black and it gets left in there for too long, the engine gets sick and it fails. So change the oil very regularly is what the key is. It'll be better off with a turbo because it's running lean and clean and much cleaner than before, but still don't forget you've got to service your vehicle and look after it. There's a few pointers early in the morning here at Berrima Diesel. You can see more of our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, or look us up at berrimadiesel.com, where you can find out more about looking after and turbocharging your 1HZ.